Okay, so back diving into the Asahi Pentax S3. What I've got going with this is the shutter advance and the film advance just don't seem to be operating correctly. So shutter's charged now. Shutter will fire. To charge the shutter again, I get this, which is movement of the lever without actually movement of any of the internals. It just kind of flops around. And then I get this, it starts to engage something right here. Push it, and you gotta push it real far. Like feels unnecessarily far. Let it go, and then charge it again, and it stops here. This is typically where it would stop, when it was operational, when the film advance lever was operational. It would stop at about this 90 degrees in comparison to the body of the camera. And then shutter will fire, and then to get to refire, I've got to go way past 90, back, and then again. And sometimes you have to do it, I can't get it to fully go, in one turn. So we're going to dive into the top plate of the camera and see if we can't figure out what's going on in here. I did have this camera apart all the way to basically the bare bones of it, and I think the gear inside here that operates this mechanism fell out, and I don't think when I put it back in, I put it back in the correct orientation. So I think I've got to remove it, figure out what the orientation is, and reinstall it in the correct way. So tools that I'm going to need, screwdriver, obviously. I like this just because it has the different sizes and different sets, and kind of makes it easy when you're dealing with the camera and you're not sure what you're diving into. Lens spanner. I found that this type of lens spanner is the most effective. They do, make several versions of them. There's, this one, which I guess maybe this is just a cheap one, but I don't like it. It doesn't lock very nice. It doesn't operate very nice. But this has so far been the one that I've enjoyed the most. And you can just purchase this off of Amazon, and I'll try to put the link in the description if I remember, but tweezers, and that should be about it. So I'm going to get started. I'm not going to try to do audio commentary throughout the whole video because it just seems kind of unnecessary and pointless. All right. Now that we're down to being able, and of course the husky, our dog, our husky named Kylo, desperately wants in the house now. So I will be right back. Now with the top plate off, we can kind of see the mechanical operations of the camera here and of the film, advance, shutter charge, and we can get a better look at what's going on. We need to reinstall the film advance lever. It's just the easiest way to get in here. The only problem with this is now I can't physically see the gears underneath to see what's going on with them. So I think I might have to, I don't know, figure something out with that. So anyway, like I said, the issue here is movement of the lever without actual charging anything, right? And this should always be charging your shutter. There's a lock to prevent it from charging your shutter when it's already charged, or advancing film when it's already been advanced. And maybe that's part of the system that's failing here. I'm really not sure. We'll find out here though. So to get a shutter to charge properly on this now, I need to advance well past 90, this uncomfortable level of past 90, and then advance, right? And now if I get a tool to allow me to depress this button, this is where the actual shutter button depresses. We'll hear the shutter fire. I do have it set to bulb, so. And then to charge again, I've got to, typically I would start, typical operation of this camera would be advancing, charging, advancing, charging, and then I can fire again. Now I have like zero resistance. It just moves freely. Starts to engage something here. Engages to there. And then we'll re-engage from there out and charge. Allow me to fire. So something in the mechanism is not operating correctly. And I believe it's from when I had this all apart and the gear that's inside here fell out. I don't think I reorientated it correctly when I put it back in. I didn't know the orientation of the gear when it fell out because it kind of fell out unexpectedly. And this is one of the things with camera disassembly that I have learned the hard way, and learned the hard way several times, is once you get it to a certain point, you don't want to be tipping it and dumping it and moving it all around, because stuff is going to fall out and you're not going to know where that stuff came from or how it goes back in. So I always try to gently move things as much as possible when I'm disassembling and keep an eye on stuff. One of the things that has helped is recording as I knock the camera over. One of the things that has helped has been recording footage of the disassembly process. Even if it's only for my own records, I'll still be able to go back and look at that footage and be like, oh, okay, well, when I had the camera sitting this way, that part was there and it looked this way and then it disappeared. So you can kind of do some, backtracking. And I would highly recommend filming yourself disassembling cameras if it's something you want to get into. But, it's up to you. So one of the issues is being able to see what's going on under here with the lever in place, because I really can't see what's operating. So I'm going to have to take this off and figure out if there's a way for me to operate the film advance without the lever in the way. Which I don't know if there is. So one of the things that makes operating this system difficult is the spring here that returns the lever to 0. I think, looking at this, I could undo the screw that is just way deep down inside here. Undo that screw, remove this whole thing. Then an operation of this would be a little easier to see where it needs to be. Seems kind of risky to me, but that's the only way I think I'm going to be able to understand the orientation that this gear needs to be in, because this gear here is what drives the film advance, and its orientation is, I think, important. You know, like its stop-start point. It needs to be in the correct stop-start point for this system to be able to engage it, which is like the kind of this clutch system here. So it interacts with this, you know, these notches. It engages this notch, and that's really what advances the film lever, or what advances the film mechanism, is when this lever here engages this slot. I could be totally wrong. I'm just speculating, honestly. So let me... I did find the one shortcoming to this set is the size of the Phillips, or flatheads, even the Phillips, but the size of the screw heads. It's sometimes not as small as I need. So I found another set off of Amazon that goes even smaller, and I mean, they're itty bitty, teeny tiny screwdrivers, but they do work quite well. So I'm going to, I mean, I can, yeah, there we go. Back the screw out. There it went. Where'd it go? Okay. Remove the spring. Where'd it go? Yeah, so I'll review footage to find that little tiny screw. It's, I mean, it's gone, right? I'm not. Oh, well, I'll review the footage and then I'll be able to find it. Hopefully. If not, oh well. All right, so let's get back to this. Let's see. All right, where are we at here with the shutter? Not charged. Yeah, see, it's, you know, it's operating now as if I have zero resistance, like I did before, where I had the advanced lever operating and no resistance until I got way out into here. So if we look at these screw holes, they'll be the orientation basically for our lever. And there's also this notch here, which, try and flip this over. There's a, you know, an engagement system on the back side there. No, that's right. So this would be sitting here right now where it should be fully charged. So you can see that if we remove this piece, I'm engaging this portion of the gear. I should get something a little better to point with. This portion of the gear with this. All right, sorry, with this. So that's not at all what we want. We want that to happen when the advance lever is over here. So I've got to figure out how to get the gear back out of there and orientated so that way it sits here, right? When the shutter is not charged, because that's where it should be when I want to charge it. Maybe? Let's try that once and find out what happens. I found it. I found the little screw. Look at this. Let me move you over here. Right, so pile of parts. Look, itty bitty guy sitting right here. Oh yeah. Of course, it's not going to focus. Oh, maybe let's give it something. There we go. There she be. So now not to lose that guy, huh? Let's just put it in one of these bigger holes. All right, shift you back over here. All right. So when this slides down on, I want it to engage the gear right there. So what if we do this? Put that there. This is the stopper. Okay. That's where we want everything to be. Sometimes if you want to hold something in place and you don't feel like rerunning screws, you can just take some little drivers, stick it down in there like that, and I'll hold it in place for you. All right. So if we go up underneath here, figure out if I can do this on camera, or maybe this has to be done off camera. Just kind of go by feel. Oh, there you can see the engagement happen, maybe. So there's a little bit of travel now. Just ever so slight travel from what I'm going to assume is the 0 point, because here's our stopper in place. So that is 0. That's the level of movement that the lever will make before it engages the shutter charge system. I don't know if that's correct. I think, you know, without knowing having the technical bulletins for this camera, I don't know if that's correct. You know, maybe there is supposed to be a little bit of play there. Maybe it's supposed to engage right away. So what I'm going to do is stop now. I'm going to get my Honeywell Pentax H1A and see what the advance is on that, and maybe be able to judge where this should be. You know, because they're very similar cameras. So maybe that will give me an idea of where it needs to be. Let me go grab that. Back with my Honeywell Pentax H1A. Very similar cameras. So let's see once what the film advanced lever's like on this one. It's going to be a little bit different than this, right? Because we're leveraged out pretty far. So it's going to be hard to judge this movement distance, but let's see what we get here. So the lever's moving free and starts to engage right there, which that's a lot. It looks like a lot of travel, but the reality is it's not very far of a turn in here because we're at the lever. We're way out here on our turn radius. Our turn-in's happening in here. It can be very small. Out here it's going to be very big because we're really far away from that rotation. So I don't know. It feels like it might be similar, but the more important thing to note is it's not charged until you're way past 90 and way up into here. And previously on this one, you would have noticed in the video that I was getting to like about 90 and that was it. So, and then this one is charged and fires, which is funny because this one will fire, but the mirror doesn't move at all. So that'll be a whole different project. You know, because why have one broken Pentax when you can have two? All right. So I guess now the thing to determine is whether or not, sitting in this current state, if the shutter will charge. So to do that, I think I'm going to have to get the stop placed back in, because this stops this rotation both at the 0 and at 100. So, 100% of its rotation. So I think both those points are important to have dialed in as far as, proper charging of everything, the film advance and all that stuff. So we're going to reinstall this stopper and go from there and see what happens. Yeah, I have very fumbly fingers today. I don't know what it is. It's not a good day to be doing this, I guess. But, you do it when you have the time. Oh, okay. It'll work too. All right, since the top plate's not on, this whole assembly can come out. I wonder if that whole assembly comes in and out when the top plate is on. And I've just been disassembling this for no reason. Disassembling this whole, I'm sorry, I was off frame. Disassembling this whole thing for no reason. Whatever. All right. In. Free movement, no engagement of the gears. You can see them just start to engage. See if I can get a shot of that. They just start to. Charging. Similar spot. The question is, was that enough? If we hear a click, we'll be good. Nope, no click. Now it clicked. So one of the things I've realized that I just realized that I can pay attention to know whether or not the shutter is charged is the indicator. So this, ooh, look at that. Did I get one out of it? No, not quite. Boy, that is just that same distance. So that has to be dialed in right on point. Interesting. All right, well, let's fire. Remove. So this, just a hair. So this gear needs to rotate this way, just a couple of teeth. I don't have a silver Sharpie on hand. I do have a chalk pen. I wonder if that would work. I think we're going to try that. We're going to try to mark where this is, so that when I take it off, I can just rotate it and put it back in place. I'm going to get a chalk pen to mark the gear and mark its location to then know how far I need to rotate it. So, yeah, be right back. Chalk marker. Sure the wife is going to be very happy that I'm using this on my camera stuff. You know, she bought it for her arts and crafts stuff, and it just gets repurposed for my camera stuff. All right, so let's use that as an indication of where we are at, and that. So that tooth is lined up with the outside of there. Now, this needs to rotate to engage that. I'm just trying to judge how many teeth I think that is. I think that's going to be 2. So this needs to be moved basically to where this tooth is here. So we're going to move it to the inside of that mark and see if that does it. Let's see if we can get a good shot of that. I know I could always crop zoom, but there. So you can see the tooth it's marked pretty white. It's this most white point here. That needs to be sitting on the inside of this line, I think. So we'll see. All right. If I can get this to just lift up just a little. Oh, wait, you know what? I got it. Use this lens spanner to just gently lift, because I can close this around this, right? We'll open it up. Close it around this. All right, so I can lift the gear up, rotate it, put it back. Let's go there. There we go. One more. There. That actually worked pretty well. See? They come in handy for all kinds of stuff. Well, I'm definitely one tooth off, or maybe more than one tooth, because Now it doesn't want to engage when this is in the, stop position. So remove this again, lift, readjust, and see where we go. I do believe that's going to be it. Oh, yeah. Woohoo! There it is. All right. Reinstall spring. Reinstall the top plate. And that should be it, hopefully. There we go. I think, boy, I hope that does it. This has been quite the journey for me. It's rare that I can actually get one back to 100% operational. I think a lot of the times my shortcoming was the fact that I was trying to repair rangefinders, leaf shutter rangefinders, and they were ones that had been manipulated by somebody previously or were broken and then over manipulated and over handled and just fell apart. So I'm very thankful that this is back in this condition and seems to be operating correctly. Next is to film test it. I currently have 2 other cameras with film in them that I'm trying to shoot through. So it'll be a little bit until I can film test this one. But, the fact that this is a M42 screw mount system is pretty exciting. I have a couple M42 screw lenses that I've never really gotten a chance to use properly. That'll be fun. But this camera also came with the, top hat exposure meter, which is another interesting thing that I'll make another video about. But it's a very interesting exposure meter system because it's external from the camera, so it interfaces with your shutter selection shutter speed selection dial. So it's pretty cool because it's old technology that we don't see much of anymore. So I don't. But anyway, so you know, again, it's been quite the journey, and I thank you for taking the time to watch through the videos.